All right, so if you have won your quote, let's go ahead and create our sales order. And once you create your sales order, you're going to want to go into order entry so you can pull it up. So you can either look at your project tracker to do that, or you can go through order management. And do I have a volunteer who wants to share their screen for the adding of releases? And everybody jump up at once.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Let me get into my order entry first then.
Okay. I am going to ask, excuse me, I am going to ask all of you guys to email me your project IDs for this working session at the end of it. Please and thank you.
I'm having a brain fart. So I hit sales order, and I want to look at my customer.
You can, or you can, if you know the starting at number, or if you just know the number, you can type it in.
Okay.
All right.
Alright, that's my order. So to release it?
Mm-hmm.
Should I start or should I wait?
No, you go right ahead. I'm just gonna watch.
Oh, whoa, oh no. Let's,
No, you're good. You're good. So to add a new release to this order,
I just
Yeah.
always like to go through all the boxes and make sure that there's like nothing that rings any bells in my brain.
Perfect. No worries with that.
Order quantity. Now, this is the full order quantity or the release quantity?
So if you notice in this box, it says release in the bold black. It says really release order quantity.
I want to release 5,000.
Okay.
Is this a customer PO reference maybe? Okay.
Yep.
Need by, ship by.
Okay, so remember that need by and ship by is copying from your first release.
Okay.
So you can leave those dates if you'd like, and then change the dates on your first release, or you can adjust the dates here.
If I want this to be the first release, or would I put the last release date then?
So if you want this to be your first release, you want to leave those dates as is.
Okay. Yep.
So go ahead and hit save. That's fine. All right, and now if you go to the release where it has the 2 there, if you arrow over to get to 1, or you can use the arrow down, whichever. Now you'll want to change these dates here.
Next time they'll get sampled October 30th.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yep. So now you just gave yourself a buffer between the first release and what would be the last release of a month. So
Okay.
I want you to add another release. And once you guys have 3 total releases, look at the list view and make sure that your dates make sense.
Wouldn't I want
That will so that release number will auto assign once you put a quantity in there and save it.
Cool.
So again, with those dates, see now when you look at your list view, you've got 2 releases with the same dates.
The release number 3, I would have to yep.
No. So remember, the first release becomes the last release. So the first release is what you're going to want to have the farthest out.
Oh. Yeah, October.
Perfect.
Okay.
So one thing for just as a little tidbit of information, I guess, a lot of times it's easier if once you know that your customer is going to take these in some sort of release fashion. A lot of times, if you want to push that first release like to the end of the year, then it allows you more flexibility as you add releases in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for sharing. How's everyone doing?
Are we to stop after we do the 3 releases and just kind of?
Yeah, I'm going to run. I was just about to say, I'm going to generate suggestions, or you guys can generate suggestions. But those of you that are, there's 2 of you in a branch, decide who's going to do it. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Sorry. And again, if you are getting a little confused with your dates, look at the list view of your releases. It's a little easier to see sequence there. Give everybody a couple more minutes.
Lori, while we're waiting, can I ask you just a quick question?
Of course.
To make sure I'm jotting this down right. So if we're wanting to buy the full quantity of the order from our source, we want to do that first and then create the release schedule.
Correct.
Okay. And if we want to buy at a certain time each piece, like the 200,000 pieces at a time, then we do this first and then the PO.
Correct.
Okay.
And Lori, I'm going to need you to take a look at my screen, I think, because I swore I ordered 200,000 and I only see 100,000. So, share here. Like, where do I see that I ordered? And I'm sorry, there's feedback. I don't know why.
Okay, so you have an order quantity of 30,000.
Yeah, but I ordered 300,000. Like 100,000 was just there. And then I saw a negative somewhere. Was it here? I don't know what happened to my...
Pull up your quote.
They don't find any indications of Jewish ancestry in Adolf Hitler's family. But Hitler's ancestors are...
Yeah, I was trying to play around with it and figure it out myself. And originally, when I started it here, there was 300 listed. And then I was trying to set up 100,000. You know, so we did 10 releases of 100,000.
Right.
And so I did one release at 100,000. And when I went to do the second, like I did, you know, new release line. And then it was telling me it has to be, it can't be greater than 100,000. So I did something. I've been playing around.
Okay.
Fix it.
Okay, that's okay. I mean, you can go back to your line and just change your order quantity there.
That produces a child responsible for perhaps the most monstrous chapter in human history. But Hitler's family tree is
You know, you need to save.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
That's fine.
A penchant for young childlike women. That's
Okay, so 3,000 there. Okay.
Yeah, so now you just need to add releases.
Maybe I did new line instead of new release. I think I probably did new line or something.
Okay, that's all right. Now remember, your first, once you do your dates or whatever, your first release will become your last release.
Yes.
You guys probably think I'm a broken record repeating that over and over, sorry.
We'll have to be repeating it over and over, I'm sure, ourselves. Now save each release and then make a new one.
Right?
And then somewhere I should see balance or no?
So if you go back to your release,
It's time for the big sale of the year on the Sleep Number 360
Yeah. So now see how the first one shows 200. Now you need to change your date on that first one
because
because that's going to be the last one. Uh-huh.
okay.
Yep.
Christmas present.
I was about to say you're dedicated if you're shipping on Christmas.
To see you guys. Come on out here.
Okay, I'm cooking now, girl.
Yeah, you are.
Confused. Maybe you just need stickers. Ever wondered why someone would go to the ends of the earth and
I don't even know where my screen is to share it.
It should be up at the top.
Okay. Oops. Oops. Well, did I just get off the call?
No,
Oh my God.
you're here. Here, I'll take over so that it'll stop your sharing.
Thank you so
You're
much.
Okay. All right, everybody good for me to run PO suggestions? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I got to add my last release.
Okay.
Hillary, I have a question for you on these though. When we're shipping, say you order 100,000 and you're releasing that, how can you change the customer PO number?
Good question. You can. So when you're in your sales order and you're doing that release, below the release quantity, there's a reference field, and you can put in a PO number in that reference field.
So that will eliminate doing change.
Say that again?
That will eliminate doing change orders all the time.
Yes, yes.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Lori, it's Allison. I have a question.
Sure.
So I keep a lot of parts here, like banjo.
I remember banjo.
So is this where I'll go when they send their weekly releases to do you know what I mean? Like they release 2 days a week.
Yeah, so your banjo stuff, you'll probably have just a massive sales order with all the parts on it. And then you can add the releases to each part on one sales order.
Okay. And then I wanted to ask yesterday, but we ran out of time. For in the part maintenance, it had the min max. So I can set up the minimum that I want to keep in the warehouse, right?
Correct.
And then that will trigger a PO suggestion?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll generate it'll create a PO suggestion without it being linked to anything. So it's basically, it says suggested for a warehouse. And that basically just means that your warehouse inventory has run to that minimum level and it's time to reorder.
Okay. So like the sales order, I could have 100,000 of a box, but they're not going to use that many. And then my minimum is, 4,000 or whatever.
Right.
So when it gets below that minimum, it'll automatically create a suggestion. Okay.
Yep.
So that's basically an alert. Like you don't get a pop-up, oh, hey, it's time to place your order because your minimum is wherever you set it.
Right. So what will pop up will be in your suggestions. You'll have a suggestion to make a purchase.
His performance before an ecstatic crowd has the desired effect.
Is he like her? Then saw her. When she entered the hall, Hitler interrupted his speech, walked up to her,
All right, so I just generated suggestions for everyone. So yeah, for those accounts that you guys, like Banjo, and you do releases, bi-weekly or, twice a week or whatever, and you have an agreed upon minimum quantity that you keep on hand at all times, yeah, you can definitely set that on the part, and when your inventory level gets to that number, the system will automatically generate a suggestion to buy more. And then at that time, you can create that PO and then link it back to the project. So that way you only have, one sales order that you're working off of, if you choose to do it that way. But you have one sales order that you're working off of, and you can just link those POs as you need to purchase to replenish that inventory.
What you are to me and how much I love you. Yours, Wolf.
I think in the context of the time, I think, older men went out with much younger women. And Hitler's father, remember?
Should I have changed one of my release dates so that it populated this month? And when you did those suggestions, like in my first release is September 21st.
That's fine. You'll
Okay.
see it anyway.
Okay.
I need to put in a sysaid. My system monitor is not working. Oh, just kidding. Could be user error.
Despite his penchant for childlike women, Hitler's busy political campaigning across Germany.
Okay, so PO suggestions has completed. You guys should be able to go into your new PO suggestions and see. You should have, if you added, 3 releases, you should have 3 suggestions for the same part.
Mitzi tried to kill herself, and thank God they found her at the last moment.
In an interview,
And I would say to generate a purchase order for anything in the month of September.
says an anonymous letter was sent to the Nazi Party threatening to report Hitler to the police for the seduction of a minor.
I have no idea what I've done, but I can't get it out of the screen I'm in, and my quantity is not what I ordered.
It seems to have come at a severe price.
What screen are you in?
Sales order entry, did the releases, but it's saying my quantity is 3,000 when I ordered 10,000.
Because Hitler didn't want to have any descendants.
What's your sales order number?
He stayed with Hitler on all accounts.
100199.
So she couldn't have any kids. She probably hoped that Hitler would marry her after all.
Marriage is out of the question for the aspiring Fuhrer. My bride is Germany, he declares. Back in 1925, he had already made a dramatic proclamation to the Nazi Party newspaper. It read, "I am so married to politics that I can't consider also getting engaged." Despite such propaganda,
And you said you ordered how many?
early bachelor,
10,000.
Hitler also attracts older, respected women of Bavarian high society. But these are calculated social climbing relationships. Privately, he continues to prefer the company of younger women, including his own niece, Gayle Rowell, the daughter of his half-sister, Angela. Hitler becomes Gayle's guardian.
She was very young, she was very impressionable, she lost her
Your quote shows
and she saw Hitler, who was a half
10,000. Okay.
When she turns 19, she heads to Munich to live with him and takes a room in his spacious apartment.
You know what? Let's see if we can.
Hitler is proud of his outgoing niece and brings her to meetings with Nazi Party friends and colleagues. Contemporaries describe Gayle as a sweet girl who was always the center of attention.
She was outgoing, she was bubbly, she wasn't particularly attractive. She didn't fit the kind of area model the blonde from. But he seemed to really like her.
But Uncle Adolf's bubbly niece has other admirers. Hitler's chauffeur and longtime Nazi Party comrade, Emil Maurice. In January 1928, she sends him birthday wishes, signed, "Many kisses, your Gayle."
But he nominated the chauffeur, Emil Morris, to be their chaperone. And he was horrified when he thought they were having romantic liaisons, and he sacked So really, you can see how possessive he was of Gelly, even towards her private life.
Marriage plans between Gailey and Hitler's driver are dashed.
I'm not real sure what happened there, Lynn.
Her affair. Perhaps he is more than an uncle to his bubbly niece.
These things are.
The nature of their relationship remains a mystery.
Certainly, the relationship was very, very close, very intense, much too intense. A relationship between an uncle and his niece.
I was playing around earlier, so there's some in there for before this.
Okay.
But I can't X out of here. It won't. It says save changes before closing. I said yes, and it says row has been modified by another user and could be an update.
Just click your refresh button.
Comes from you on September 19th, 1931. Gailey is found dead in his apartment.
And then see if it lets you.
Could be an absolutely enormous struggle for Hitler, and it's touched up. He's very sad. He goes into depression, and I think clearly the impact on having a dead half-niece found in the flat.
That was a no.
But
No.
I think we can see the efficacy of the Nazi regime, and so much of this is just simply.
The original police report still survives in the State Archives of Munich. It concludes that Gailey did commit suicide, but there is still much speculation.
You can't minimize it or anything?
Did Hitler play a role?
I think that the pressure that he was putting on her, the possessiveness towards her, there's no question that that was a factor.
Yeah, I can minimize it, but how will I ever get ready to shut it down?
Yeah, sometimes it just gets hung up. Just give it a little bit of time and then pull it back up and click that refresh button and then click save.
Okay.
And you should be able to get out of it.
Is buried in Vienna.
But let's go ahead and move forward with, even though your quantities got a little wonky,
Okay.
and see if you've got suggestions in there.
Childlike women is far from over. In fact, he is already pursuing an infamous and
Anybody not see
less than half his
their
age.
suggestions?
Mother Nature setting the rules, and all I gotta do is slay her game.
So if you have your suggestions in there and you go ahead and create your POs, then let's link those purchase order or orders to your project.
Laura, you said to only buy stuff for September, right?
Maybe a better question is, where
I can't hear you.
It's too close to Friday. So yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want. I just want to make sure that you see the three different, the three different suggestions to purchase, or
Okay.
how many of our releases that you added.
Okay. And then my other question was, is there any way when you click buy and then generate purchase orders, like it just goes away?
Yeah.
Is there any, like with the sales order, it pops up with a number? Can that happen or no?
Nope.
So the only way to find out the PO number is to go into the dashboard.
You can either go into the dashboard or you can actually go into purchase order entry and search on your buyer ID.
Okay.
And putting you in control of the whole thing with powerful technology. That's why we've become the nation's fastest growing retailer. Because our customers love it. See for yourself at Carvana.com. Did you just reward yourself for spending a perfectly reasonable amount of time on the couch with tacos from Grubhub? Grubhub's gonna reward you for that with a $5 off perk.
T-Mobile and Sprint have
Hey, Lori.
Huh?
I know I probably asked this before, but it was in a different episode. So let's pretend that I have a bunch of boxes that I'm ordering from various customers, or anything, and I use one particular vendor quite often. So when I go to my purchase order search, I might see the same supplier multiple times. How do I know which, like if I'm looking for a part in particular, how do I know that there's no part, especially if there's only a part number? I won't recognize the part number.
So here's one thing about Epicor that we haven't really got into much. In today's world in ProGold and in the way that the corporate process works, it's basically one supplier invoice for an order, right? In Epicor, if you use, let's say, the same box supplier and you have these purchase order suggestions with that supplier, it could very easily create only one PO.
Oh.
And that's why when we're adding, we're linking our PO to the project, you're actually linking that PO line release to the project. So you could have one purchase order with 6 line releases on it, and they could all go to different projects.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So when you look at your project tracker and it has the PO number and then it has the 1/1, you could look at another project, it would have the PO number and say 2/1. So it's the second line on that PO, first release of the second line.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so, obviously as you guys get more involved in the system and practice more and stuff like that, you'll probably run into that happening. And it can also happen where it's, you and somebody else in the office and that one PO gets generated. So, you would assign your project ID to that line release and the other person would assign their project ID to that line release.
Even with 2 different buyers, that can happen. And you think the way to avoid that is to tie